Hello, hello. Today we are going to talk about how to determine your expected family contribution before you're applying to college. So, what is an EFC? So, an EFC is their expected family contribution. It's a very important number because it's what the number is that colleges will use to determine how much financial aid to give you. So let's read it together. So students and their families are expected to contribute to the cost of the college to the extent that they're able. Use this 2019-20 academic year expected family contribution calculator to, so here's what we're going to do. Estimate how much the student's family will be expected to contribute for the year. Notice we don't say how much they can contribute, how much they will be expected to. After all, you can't make a realistic plan to cover the student's share if you don't have any idea what the student's share could be. Accurate, right? Gain insight into the student's financial aid eligibility. Because if you're unable to contribute the entire cost of college, financial aid is available to bridge the gap. That's how the financial aid system works. The difference between the total cost, like how much it costs to go to college, right, and the student's EFC is considered the student's financial need and the amount of aid you're eligible to receive. So let's look really quickly at this cool little chart. I'm going to make So this is why the EFC matters, right? The student's EFC is calculated. The school then uses it to determine what aid the student qualifies for in total. This figure may include scholarships, grants, loans, and work studies. The eligibility for aid is calculated as, now this is so important, the total cost of school, known as the cost of attendance or COA, right, minus the family's EFC equals the student's estimated eligibility for financial aid. So for example, let's say the total cost of attendance is 50 grand. You know, we know college can cost anywhere between like 10,000 to 70,000. Let's say 50 grand for a private college, okay? So the family's EFC, we're going to see what it might be. But let's say, for example, it's $10,000. That's what the college is determined. College is determined, and the federal government is determined that the student can contribute towards a college education. What is the student's eligibility for financial aid? 50,000 minus 10,000 equals 40,000. So that's how much they might be eligible for in financial aid. Now, not all colleges guarantee to meet a student's full eligibility for financial aid. So a school that meets 100% of need, like let's say Amherst College, or I don't know, Princeton or Grinnell, where I went, they would give the student $40,000 in financial aid. Now, a school that doesn't guarantee to meet financial aid, full 100% of eligibility, might give more to a student that they really want and less to a student that they're not as excited about. So, again, total cost of attendance minus the family's EFC equals the eligibility of financial aid. And then you minus the student's estimated eligibility for grants and scholarships, and then that's the student's estimated net price of the college. And that's a big deal, that number. It's the student's estimated net price of the college. Now let's go back and look at how to do this. So I'm going to hit start. All right, let's make this a little bigger because my eyes are old. So student status. Was the student born before January 1st, 1996? No. Most of these questions are going to be no for most of BSEC students, but is the student orphan or ward of the court? Is the student emancipated minor? No. When the student was 13 or older, were both the student's parents deceased? Is the person a student foster care, or was the student dependent on the court? For some students, this is true, but most students, it's no. Again, no, no, no. You can read through these. Is the student currently married? Most for our students, the answers are going to be no. At any point, you can hit reset the calculator, and it'll go all the way back to the beginning. Right? So let's hit next. Now this is really important. It says pick a formula. This is so, so, so important, y'all. So there are two main formulas used to determine a student's eligibility for financial aid: the federal methodology and the institutional methodology. The FM is used to calculate students' eligibility for federal aid, such as Pell Grants, most types of state aid. It's used by most public universities. So Binghamton, Stony Brook, CUNY Hunter, UMass Amherst, absolutely. Many private colleges and scholarship programs and some public universities, such as the University of Michigan, UNC Chapel Hill, and the University of Virginia, use the institutional methodology, aka IM, to determine the student's eligibility for their own grant funds. So this is a big deal, right? You might be eligible for some money, one kind of amount of money at one school and another amount of money at another school. So you can see a list of schools that use the IM here. Let's open this up. So we see, all right, so, okay, yes and no. So American University, yes. So meaning CSS profile, meaning they're going to be using the IM. So if it says yes, they use the IM. Amherst College, Babson College, Bard College uses the IM. So you're going to have to fill out an additional form, and you're going to want to pay attention to that institutional methodology number. This is really important if you are in a divorced household, a household where there is a non-custodial parent, another parent. Some of these schools are request information for that parent, many of them. So Bard College, in addition to using the institutional methodology, also asks for information from the non-custodial parent. So when I fill out this form, I want to include an estimation of how much money my non-custodial parent makes. That's a big difference. But you can ask your CTO advisor more about that. Okay, so I'm going to say I want both the FM and the IM. Okay, that's very important, both the FM and the IM, because I don't want to just know the FM and I don't want to just know the IM, right? So hit next. So now it's going to ask about parents' marital status. So I'm going to use an example family, right? So let's say they're married, right? And I can show you a divorce situation too. Family size, 4, let's say. Home state, province of students, that's New York, right? And we're going to hit next. I've already filled some of this out. So student's age is 16 right now. I put the student parent, put their name. It's okay to put your name. They're not going to use this information for anything. Age, are they in college, student parent, right? And again, this is like a sort of like normative family. You might have one parent and a step parent. You might have, right? Like there's a lot of different iterations. I'm just using an example here. Student's brother or sister, right? Or has student's son or daughter, student's grandparent. You can add a grandparent, right? Or other. And I put that they're 13 and they're not in college. Now, your methodology, your EFC might change if another person is in college. Right? All right, EFC calculus. So this is going to ask about finances. So I use an example. Let's say they make $65,000 a year. That's almost all from work and not from something else. Combat pay, untaxed benefits. Now, students, if you're doing this alone, you might need to ask your parent. You're going to need to ask your parents or guardians for information here. It's going to be really important, right? Dislocated worker. All these are questions that, you're going to have to ask your family. And if they don't know the answer, what I like about it is you can sort of look at this little, you can see this little guy, and it says, expected family contribution help. Adjusted gross income is your income from all taxable sources. The information is found in the following line of the U.S. tax return. So having your tax returns when you're doing this is really important. So again, tells you which line you're going to go to, right? It's really helpful. Now, this is all information you're going to need for the financial aid form. So if you know how to do this stuff early, you golden, right? All right, so U.S. income tax paid. Again, it tells you where to find that, right? Cash and saving. Now, people always ask, like, does it be the exact number? A rough estimate is good. So you might have to ask your family, right? Don't enter sort of average monthly balances, but just answer after, in general, what's in there. Home equity. Now, this is really important. If you've got a family and if your family owns a home, they got to put what the home is worth. So first, determine the value of the home. Use the price that you could reasonably expect to receive for the home if you were sold today. Don't use assessed, insured, or tax value. A home includes a house, a mobile home, or a condo. Then determine how much is owed on the home, including any debts or mortgage, right? And then subtract the debt from the value. So let's say the home is worth $300,000, but your mortgage is $200,000. So the equity is going to be $100,000. Right? So I'm going to have to ask your family members for that, most likely. But if you don't own a home, you leave that blank. Do you have a business equity, farm equity? Do you live on a farm? Almost all the basic students are going to say no to that. And a trust equity, okay? That's like if your parents have set up some sort of trust for you. All right, now, here's the answer. So we see the federal methodology, right? Parents' contribution for students. So they're expecting that the parent can contribute $6,339 a year for the student's education, and the student's contributions can be zero. So the total the federal methodology contribution is $6,339. Now for this institutional methodology, the parent's contribution is going to be $4,874, and the student's contribution is $2,200. And it's going to be a little bit higher. Now, unfortunately, you can't you notice the institutional methodology is a little bit higher. Now let's go back and see if we we change it a little bit. Let's say if they've got only $45,000 a year, okay? Let's say that. We got 4. Let's see if it changes it at all. So it does change it quite significantly, right? Let's say we're at $100,000. Wait, let's look back for that for a second. Let's do $45,000 one more time. I want to show you this because sometimes students feel like, well, I don't have enough money to go to college. This is a really affordable amount. And let's say you went into a school that used the institutional methodology. If that was your financial situation, you only need to pay $1,000 to go to college. If the college costs $75,000, that means that they would give you $74,000 in grant aid. That's a big deal. Remember that is total cost of attendance minus the family's EFC. So again, if the school costs $75,000, if your family's institutional methodology is, let's say, $1,500, then the student's going to get free money, and the estimated net price of the college is going to be very little. Right? So that's a big deal. So a lot of students feel like they can't afford to go to expensive college, but that's not necessarily the case, right? So let's say a student makes $100,000, $100,000, or a family makes $100,000. Okay, so this is what they're going to expect for families to pay. And it's going to be a little bit more for the federal methodology and a little bit less for the institutional methodology. That's how sometimes private colleges can end up being a little bit cheaper than public colleges, which is interesting, right? So, play around with this a little bit, see what's what, do it with your family members, get a sense, because this can be really, really helpful for you to get a realistic sense of what it might actually take for you to pay to go to college. Now, this doesn't include if a school is going to give you merit aid, right? That might be on top of this. So applying to colleges where you're going to get a lot of merit aid, really important. But again, this is an important tool that I want y'all to do. In addition, I want y'all to fill out net price calculators for each of the schools that you apply to. This is a general calculator that isn't specific to each school, and you want to apply one specific to each school as well. But this will give you a good ballpark. Have a conversation with your family members. Is the number doable? Is it not doable? Where are you at? Do you need to get merit money to bring down this cost of attendance? Do you need to apply to scholarship to bring down this cost of attendance? Or is it more affordable than you thought? Really important. And as always, check in with me, Lenny, or your teacher advisor for more advice and more help.